Good evening and welcome to the 2024 Division II Football Selection Show. I'm Will Haskin and I am honored to kick off the D2 postseason tonight as we begin the march towards McKinney, Texas in the championship game coming up on December the 21st. The path to get to that final game begins tonight for 28 lucky teams, 4 of which will be the top seeds of our super regions and receiving byes this upcoming weekend. The remaining 24 teams have games this coming Saturday as we begin the single elimination process to identify our 2024 champion. There are no automatic berths given out in this bracket as conference champions. However, 15 conferences do have access to earned access bids. That means the top-ranked team in the conference is guaranteed a spot if they wound up in the top 9 of the super region rankings today. Last year, Harding earned a bye and went on to win the title, the third first-time winner in the last 4 playings of this championship. So will we have a similar story this year, or will a dynasty continue? That all depends on how this bracket shakes out. So let's dive right into it with our first super region, and the top seed getting a bye belongs to Kutztown. Fresh off the best postseason in program history, this was a semifinal squad a year ago in 2023. The Bears did it all on both sides of the ball last year, but have been phenomenal on defense this season. Top 5 in the country in yards allowed. The D has forced the second most turnovers in the nation as well, including 6 wins this season in which they held an opponent to 10 points or less, and enter after capturing the PSAC title. Slippery Rock snags the last hosting spot in this region. Slippery Rock making its 6th straight NCAA playoff appearance, which ranks first in the Super 1 region and second among all programs in the country for the longest active playoff streak. The Rock, putting together 15 consecutive winning seasons, ranks as the 9th longest current active winning season streak in Division II, led by quarterback Braden Long, the only NCAA DII national finalist for the 2024 William Campbell Trophy, the top academic prize in all of college football. They open against New Haven. The Chargers have used a suffocating defense to rise up the regional rankings the last few weeks, getting back to the tournament for a 4th consecutive season. The defense surrenders less than 70 yards per game rushing. That's top 5 in the country this year. 2 undefeated teams in this region with Charleston, the 2 seed, 3rd appearance for a program that made the second round a season ago, and they look for one additional step, one more this season. Over 460 yards of total offense this season, paced the MEC, ranked top 10 in the country, and much of that offense comes from Siobhan Wright running the football. He led the nation in yards and rushing touchdowns, and when this team needs to throw, Ian Hamrick has proven he can, a completion percentage of nearly 72% this season, best mark in the country. Perhaps the last spot in the region with many wondering who might get it. We say hello tonight to Ashland. Tyara Stevenson running for 5 touchdowns yesterday in a 44-30 win over Kentucky Wesleyan. That clinched the Eagles the outright GMAC championship and an 18th conference crown in program history, and now announced tonight back in this NCAA tournament. California of Pennsylvania, our last first-round host here. The Vulcans returning to the tournament for the first time since 2017, a program that has made the national semifinals 3 times before. Perhaps with a chance to be seated a little bit higher, however, a loss in the PSAC championship to Kutztown slides the Vulcans in at the 3 line, with perhaps a rematch on the line if they can make it to the regional championship. And they open with East Stroudsburg, back-to-back tournament trips for the first time in almost 2 decades for the Warriors. This will be a familiar matchup between 2 PSAC teams. The top offense in the conference this year accomplished a number of milestones this season, including a win over Shepherd for the first time in 21 years. That virtually locked the team into a ranking spot that would stick in this bracket. All right, on to our next region. It is headlined by our 3rd and final undefeated team to unveil tonight. That would be Valdosta State, 20th appearance for the 4-time national champions. The top offense in the Gulf South this season is balanced too, leading all schools in both rushing and passing numbers. Blake Hester is part of a 2-headed backfield, averages 7 yards per carry to pace that running attack, while quarterback Sammy Edwards leads in almost every passing category you can count. And entering this past weekend, the team had turned the ball over just 4 times all season. That was better than any team in the country. Miles rises to a 4 seed, a 3rd NCAA berth for the Golden Bears, who now seek their first ever NCAA win. They'll get to do so, or try to do so, from home. A bruising ground game is also balanced by the conference's top defense in terms of points allowed this season. Carson Newman will be the opponent. No program has more championship game appearances without a national title than the Eagles, who reached the final game 3 times in the late 90s. Now a new generation hopes the first berth in 6 years is the beginning of a new era of deep tournament runs, one that ends with a final weekend win. Wingate has been a beast all season long. The Bulldogs' last appearance in 2022 also included their deepest run, one that the team hopes to extend out of the region this year. The SAC's best defense held opponents to under 10 points this year, while ranking as the top defense in the country in terms of getting teams off the field on third down. Marquise Fleming, big key to the defense with nearly 2 tackles for a loss per game. He's top 3 in the country in that stat. And in winning the conference crown, the Bulldogs held Carson Newman, who we just announced, to just 84 total yards of offense in the clincher. Virginia Union will be the opponent. The Panthers in the tournament for a 3rd straight season and 12th time overall. Fresh off back-to-back CIAA championships, the team now seeks its first win in tournament history against that red-hot defense. West Alabama will play a home game this coming weekend, back to the tournament for the first time since 2018, and one of the more opportunistic teams this season in the Gulf South. It's a big play defense that paced the conference in red zone defense and had a knack for key turnovers in key moments this year. And they welcome the last team in this region. Hello to Lenoir-Rhyne. The Bears made it out of the region to the national semifinals a year ago and look to make the final 2 coming up here in 2024. Jalen Ferguson was the backup quarterback a season ago, but it's his team now, throwing for the 2nd most yards of any quarterback in the conference this season. All right, we're halfway home. Our 3rd region is always a survival test. Headlined by the top seed, that would belong to Ferris State, the Beasts of Region 3. The Bulldogs have reached the championship game 3 of the last 5 tournaments, including those back-to-back national titles in 2021 and 2022. A program that continues to reload. This is the GLIAC's top offense and defense, entering this past weekend with a scoring margin over 30 on the season. Trinidad Chambliss is one of D2's most dynamic athletes, a true dual-threat quarterback, top 5 in the country in rushing scores, while also throwing for over 200 yards per game this year. A home game for Central Oklahoma. The top rushing offense in the conference for them has scored more points than all but one team in the entire country this year, pushing this program back to the NCAA postseason for a first time since 2003. Jalen Cottrell runs for nearly 100 yards per game this season. And he'll try to protect the ball against Ouachita Baptist. Back after missing the field a year ago, they had the statement win of the season on October 19th. They come from behind victory over the defending champions from Harding. It took some trickeration in the 4th quarter with a wide receiver throwback to the quarterback. That 17-13 win showed how deep and perhaps wide open this region could be heading into this postseason. You see 3 teams off the board, all with just 1 loss here in 2024. Back to Michigan for our 2 seed. That belongs to Grand Valley State, 23rd appearance for the 3-time national champs, who were shutting out eventual champ Harding through 3.5 quarters last year in this region and trying to win it all. The squad with something to prove, perhaps coming into this 2024 season. They have the best ball control team in the GLIAC, trailing only Ferris State this year in total defense and points allowed. But they will get a stern test as UIndy will drive north for the first round. 3rd straight NCAA postseason appearance and 10th overall since 2012. They recently won the program's 3rd consecutive outright GLVC title. A shutout win yesterday, securing the program's 6th 10-win season since 2012. The Greyhounds entered this weekend ranked in the top 10 in D2 in rushing defense, turnover margin, scoring offense, and passing efficiency. It's a roster that features also one of the nation's most dangerous return games. Kickoff returner Marquez Gillum, 3 career kickoff return touchdowns, including ones of 96 and 100 yards this season. All right, final matchup here is hosted by Pittsburg State, the 2-time champions, making 3 straight tournaments for the first time since 2001. Top-ranked MIAA team through much of the season. A closing test at Northwest Missouri yesterday was the final hurdle for the Gorillas to make the tournament, and they passed with flying colors in a 23-7 win over the former national champs. And that might be a good sign, because speaking of national champs, they will play one. Harding being the matchup here. The Bisons showing no desire to give up their title from a season ago. They have run all over opponents this season, averaging over 400 yards on the ground per game to lead the country. And meanwhile, on defense, they are better than any team in the country in both points allowed and yards allowed. And while not perfect this season like last, the defending champions in position to repeat. Look at that right there. Of the 7 teams, 6 of them 10-1 this year. Anybody's guess who's going to advance out of this region. We head into our final region. Top final seed and the last bye to hand out belongs to CSU Pueblo. The Pack, owning the second longest active conference win streak in Division II football, also has been undaunted in road games over a 2-year stretch, 3-1 during the regular season against nationally ranked teams as well. The Pack claiming its 9th all-time RMAC title, including its 8th RMAC title since the football program was rebooted back in 2008. The 2014 national champions rack up nearly 500 yards of total offense per game. They scout a game that'll be hosted by Augustana, the best run in program history, seeing this team back in the tournament for a 3rd time in 4 seasons. Sporting the Northern Sun's top scoring defense this season, the offensive side of the ball has been great, including the running back, Jared Epperson, who's averaging nearly 7 yards per carry. That leads the conference and ranks in the top 5 in the nation this year. It'll be quite the battle with Minnesota State in the opener. Todd Hoffner guiding the Mavericks back to the tournament for a 9th time under his watch and a 15th time overall. The 2019 national runner-ups have made the final game twice in the last decade and certainly have a team capable of making a run to it again here in 2024. Western Colorado vaulting to the 2 seed line, a 3rd appearance in the last 4 seasons. The next step would be a first win in the NCAA tournament. This is a team that can really move the ball down the field. Drew Nash under center, responsible for more points scored this season than any other player in the RMAC. Central Washington is in and returns after a quarterfinal appearance a season ago. The Wildcats were tied 3-3 at the half yesterday in a must-win senior day game against Western Oregon. And with 23 seniors on the roster, they found a way to gut it out when they needed it, winning it in the second half 13-3 and protect what may have been the final spot in this region to hear their names called tonight. All right, our final matchup hosted by Angelo State. 9th tournament appearance for a disciplined team that returns a year removed from not making the cut in this region. Top 2 in the nation in turnover margin. This is a team that has nearly 4 times as many turnovers forced as giveaways on the year. And they will play the last team in the field to announce. That would be Bemidji State. This marks the 4th straight appearance for the Beavers after the program's debut in 2021, after scoring 10 unanswered in the 4th quarter to stun Augustana for a season-defining win yesterday. It was a special season already. It included the first successful Hail Mary in 15 years. This team led the Northern Sun in time of possession and total defense as well. Marcus Hansen anchoring the defense, the conference's top defensive player a season ago, has been great again this year. He ranks in the top 25 of the nation in sacks and tackles for a loss. All right, there you have it. All 28 teams still alive in pursuit of a national championship this fall. Those first-round games kick off this coming Saturday with the 12 winners joining the 4 top seeds for games over Thanksgiving weekend. Quarterfinals follow in December before the semifinals and the championship, the latter being played in McKinney, Texas on December the 21st. You can watch the semifinals on ESPN+. The championship game comes your way on ESPN2. And of course, follow all of the action through the tournament right here on NCAA.com. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Will Haskett. Congratulations and best of luck to all the student athletes competing in this year's championship.
If you're not here for Fandom 101, you're in the wrong class. Here, we learn the fundamentals of fanology, the basics of bringing the noise, and the physics of bringing it out. Your path to fan mastery begins here. It's all part of the curriculum. The NCAA Championships. Attendance is encouraged. Passion is mandatory. Buy your seats today at ncaa.com/tickets. Class dismissed.